Hi again then guys, and welcome to the 7th episode of Quattroporte on Forza Horizon 3, the review series for the four-door sedans, or saloons as they're sometimes called, featured on the game, both older and newer. And this is one of the much older examples, the early 70s Mercedes 300 SEL, in particular the 6.3. There were some, including the racing versions, which were of course bored out to a 6.8 litre. This one though has, as I said, that 6.3 litre engine. Now, being an older car, and not one which you can get even from the dealership, I believe it was a barn find, if I remember correctly, and of course you can pick them up in the auction house, it has maybe lowered expectations than you would have from a newer super saloon, but at the same time, these older cars can often have deceptively good ability when tuned, and the fact that they tend to be slower in stock form is a real asset, because you can use them in those lower classes, which you just can't get something like a modern Mercedes, for instance, like an E63, down into. And that's definitely the case for this car. The standard class is C, which is far lower than many modern sedans, but you can get it all the way up to S2 pretty easily, and it's extremely quick at that level as well. But speaking of how quick it is, and also how good it is, let's compare it, as we always do, to the other cars in its field of expertise, sedans, saloons, both older and newer. Well, first of all, we have handling, as always, and for the handling on this particular car, of course factoring in both tuned and stock ability, I'm going to give it a 4, because in stock form it's got pretty good handling. For a car that weighs over 1800 kilos, or 1.8 tons here in the UK, it handles remarkably well. And even in fully tuned form, you can feel the kind of performance heritage which the car naturally has, which it was intended to have, and which it easily has, even with much more power, in some cases 4 times the power, or more even. As far as acceleration goes, I'm actually going to give it another 4, because although it's monstrously quick when fully tuned with that 1500 horsepower engine, you'd expect it to be. In the lower classes, it's not dominatingly quick, but that's why I gave it a 4. It's definitely good. Down in the C class, for instance, it's pretty quick, but it does require a little bit of tuning, maybe a little bit of weight loss, for instance, or better tyres, to immediately give it that jump start to bring it up to modern ability in terms of what it can go up against. As far as top end speed goes, I am though giving it a full 5, because in stock form, in the C class, it can do over 140 miles per hour, which doesn't sound that amazing in the grand scheme of things, but for the C class, that's pretty good, especially against other sedans in that class, and when you fully tune it, it's a monster. One of the quickest four-door cars in the game, almost 270 miles per hour, or thereabouts in fact. That's incredibly quick, so of course it's getting a full 5 because of that all-round overall ability. Speaking of its ability, that of course ties into both the usability that the car has in terms of its range of potential on and off-road, but also its value for money, which is intrinsically tied into that. So what am I going to score it for that? Well, straight up I'm giving it a 5 again, because this car has a quoted value of only 35,000 credits, which is insanely cheap, given how collectible it is, how great it is as just a stylish cruiser car, but also as a performance machine. Now, whether or not you'll pick it up for that price in the auction house is another thing entirely, but it has the potential to be around that kind of price at least. And for 35 grand, which is the quoted price that I'm going with, it's amazing value. It has huge range of potential behind it. It has amazing ability in all classes. It's not necessarily the best, I'm not claiming that, but it's definitely good enough to give you plenty of victories. And finally, as far as the usability goes, as we were mentioning earlier, directly tied into that value for money, I'm again going to give it a full 5. In fact, it's an even easier 5 than the value for money, because the value for money depends on what kind of price you can find it for, or if you get it as a barn find, whereas the usability is always present. If you own the car, you've got that usability there. It's easily that full 5, because it's just got such a broad range of appeal, a broad range of potential, not just speaking about performance, but looks-wise, tuning-wise. It can be a stylish car, it can be a cruiser's car, as well as just the obvious things of being a drag car, or a drifter, or a circuit racer. It really can do it all. Basically, everything you could realistically want the car to be capable of, it can do that. And overall, I'm going to give this car a tabulated score of a pretty high 92 out of 100. But that's it for this pick overall. I'll see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.